We have some pretty big news from the NHL today. 3 longtime NHL veterans have all retired. We'll discuss their careers coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have 3 pretty significant players announcing their retirement, all pretty close together here this morning on September the 20th. So I wanted to kind of do a video just talking about strictly these 3 guys and their careers and the impact that they've had on the game. They've all had a different impact in different ways. First up, we found out this morning that Zdeno Chara was announcing his retirement. Of course, Chara played for 25 years, 1,680 games, 200 playoff games. Of course, won a Stanley Cup, captaining the Boston Bruins in 2011. Won a 2009 Norris Trophy, numerous international games. It feels like he's been around forever and a day. Of course, started his career with the Islanders, was obviously moved to the Senators, went on to play in Boston, which is probably the era of his career that he's probably most known for. Obviously, he became the captain and really a big part of that leadership group that went on to have, really a lot of years of continuous success. Like the Bruins really were pretty effective, pretty competitive year in, year out during the time that he was there. Really had a major impact on that area. Of course, went on afterwards to play a season with the Washington Capitals and then back to the New York Islanders to kind of bring it full circle. But he is signing a 1-day contract with the Boston Bruins today to be able to retire as a Bruin. So it's not only the fans that will likely remember him mostly for being a Bruin. I think that's where his heart is and has always been since he's got there. So certainly, Big Z has had one heck of a career. Like I said, the impact on the game is, just tremendous. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. He'll go in as soon as he's eligible for. Obviously, the size that he brings to the game, like he's such a big man, but competed for such a long time, kept himself in really good shape, was an absolute force out there. I know a lot of NHL forwards were not real happy to be playing against him, going into corners and battling him in front of the net. So we certainly want to wish the best to Chara in his career. Whatever comes next, don't know. Hard to say what he's going to be up to, but one heck of a career. First ballot Hall of Famer in my book, and can't really say that there's ever going to be another one like him. Pretty unique guy in everything he's done and brought to the game. Of course, we also found out that Keith Yandle, via a Spit and Chicklets podcast that he just recorded, also had announced his retirement, even though I'm not sure exactly when that podcast went live, but I know it was kind of just making its rounds here this morning, right around the same time that the Chara news had broke. Of course, Keith Yandle, leaves the game, the Ironman streak holder, 989 consecutive games. Of course, last played with the Flyers, but certainly spent a lot of time in Arizona, the Rangers, in Florida. Certainly, it would have been cool to see him hit 1,000 games. I kind of get the Flyers, why they ended the streak when they did, but at the same time, it would have been cool to see them kind of be a part of something, really big in history to hit 1,000 games. So, but it wasn't to be. Of course, Yandle ended up playing a total of 16 pro seasons, over 1,100 games played, 619 points, was certainly looked upon as being, a real solid power play specialist in his time, especially when he was in Arizona, the Rangers organization. Then when he first got to Florida, like his offensive numbers were really, really good. Certainly as time went on, certainly we saw Yandle not be quite as effective, and it was never really known as a super awesome defensive guy, but great skater, great puck mover, great on the power play, which is what allowed him to have such a long, successful career. I know I'll remember him a lot myself, just from where he played his junior hockey. It was, even though it was only 1 year, it was one heck of an effective year with the Moncton Wildcats, which obviously Moncton's pretty close to where I am. So I remember that quite vividly. In the 05-06 season, I was a little surprised that Yandle was playing there, to be honest. A Boston area kid with a lot of potential, but had just been drafted out of prep school where he had played in Cushing Academy. I'm surprised he didn't go to one of the local area colleges. There's all kinds of kids that end up playing for either BU or BC or any of the other ones close by. But he went the major junior hockey route, coming to Canada and playing in Moncton. And it was a heck of a year. He put up phenomenal numbers that year, dominated the Q, helped the Moncton Wildcats go all the way on to the Memorial Cup. So they were really close to winning the Canadian Junior Championship. Ended up falling just short with the runners-up in that tournament. It was just a heck of a season for Yandle. Like I said, and somebody that I was a little surprised that he decided to go that route, but certainly worked out for him and allowed him to dominate. And he went on to pro hockey after a couple of seasons of kind of having a little bit of time in the American League, he became an NHL regular, and it wasn't long after that when his Ironman streak started, and he went on to, like I said, close to 1,000 consecutive games. So Keith Yandle's had a big impact on the game, breaking one of the toughest records in hockey to break, and certainly had a big impact on young defensemen trying to be more mobile and be power play specialists, etc. And then a little bit more surprising news. I don't think anybody was real shocked that Yandle or Chara called it a career. Maybe a little surprised they announced it so close together. But then PK Subban announces his retirement as well. I mean, as of the last few days, we were hearing reports that PK was still trying to secure an NHL contract. Many thought that he wouldn't take a PTO, that he either wanted a contract and have a guaranteed spot, but or if it wasn't going to materialize, that maybe this could happen. But he played 13 pro seasons. Of course, PK is known for his big personality. Obviously drafted and developed by the Montreal Canadiens, traded to Nashville, and of course we know he finished up in New Jersey. 834 career regular season games played, 96 playoff games, 467 points. Of course, like Chara, a Norris Trophy winner as well in 2013. Had some pretty dominant years early in his career. He could go end to end, was a human highlight reel there many times, and certainly scored lots of goals and was a real offensive force. Certainly once he got to Nashville, I think his game got rounded out. And now, of course, that's where he really, I think, kind of benefited in becoming a more stronger two-way defenseman. But obviously, the last couple of years, you could see his game start to deteriorate. He wasn't quite the same player, but many thought he still had something to give and could still be, even if it's a smaller role, more of a third pair. 6'7" veteran 1-year deal. A lot of people are surprised it never came to be. But it is what it is. I think PK probably had some options. I can't confirm that. I'm going to say that he probably did, but at the same time, he was probably being particular because I think he has a lot of options outside the ice and outside of the game of hockey from a different perspective. I don't think anybody will be shocked that he's more than likely going to end up in a long career in media. I know there's already been some talks of some things that are being developed behind the scenes, but it wasn't quite certain when he was going to have enough time to do it. But I'm sure the US TV networks will be interested in him, especially where they're trying to bring a little different perspective. Wouldn't be shocked if Sportsnet here in Canada was interested. He's going to have so many things that he's going to be able to pick and choose and see what he wants to do. But PK is not afraid to speak his mind. He's got a very big, colorful personality, and I think media is probably going to be as good or even better to him than his on-ice play was, considering how much longer he might be able to do it and he really, be that much more well-known. But time will tell. But these three longtime NHL veterans all called it a career here today. We've seen some other guys announce their retirements more recently. But, of course, as teams are releasing their training camp rosters and players are starting to report as camps get underway here over the next day or two, it's certainly kind of sad in a way to see some of these guys call it a career, even though you see it coming. But, as for somebody like myself who, when you start to get old enough that you see these guys go from start to finish in their career, it kind of starts to make you feel a little older as well. And I've certainly been able to accomplish that for some of these guys here, watching them go from start to finish. So it's kind of surreal in a sense, but certainly want to wish them all the best in their careers and see what comes next. I think we know what's next for PK. Just a matter of where and exactly how it works. And with Yandle and Chara, will have to remain to be seen. But the game has lost three superstar defensemen, all in their own way, all in their own right, all with different teams. But the game is better for having them and been in it for a long time. And like I said, I'm sure they'll likely be involved in one capacity or another. So, of course, if you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We will keep you up to date with all the latest news, rumors, and analysis on all 32 NHL teams. We're still in the midst of doing team season previews, so there's still plenty more coming. We've got a bunch more film that'll be released here over the few days. And, of course, more news videos coming as the news breaks. So stay tuned, and we'll keep you up to date. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.